Hi everyone, Michael Cavacini here. Hope you're doing well. This year, 2022, marks the 60th anniversary of James Bond. It's wild to think that 60 years have passed since the release of Dr. No in movie theaters, and now James Bond is this global phenomenon that's been going on for decades after it initially took the world by storm. So in honor of this monumental occasion, I'm revisiting all 25 films. So grab a Vesper Martini, buckle up, and let's take an Aston Martin DB5 down memory lane as we enjoy the greatest movie franchise of all time. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to look at these films not in chronological order, because in 2003, the James Bond Special Edition DVDs were released in 3 box sets. Each box set contained a mix of James Bond films and actors portraying the iconic figure. These were my first James Bond box set, so I'm watching all of the first 20 films and their accompanying special features for the purposes of my reviews from this set, which will take me through the entirety of the up through the entirety of the Pierce Brosnan era, ending with Die Another Day. Then I'll resume with the 50th anniversary box set for the Daniel Craig films. So we're going to be going out of order. So the first one we're doing, though, is actually the first one, Dr. No. And the next one after this will be Goldfinger. So get ready. But let's talk about Dr. No. So this is the Dr. No Special Edition DVD that came in that box that I was just talking about a moment ago. So let's talk about the story. So here is the official synopsis of Dr. No from JamesBond.com. So arriving in Jamaica to investigate the suspected murder of a fellow agent and his secretary, James Bond eludes several attempts on his life. With the help of CIA agent Felix Leiter and local fisherman Quarrel, Bond follows the sinister trail of Dr. No to his island, Crab Key. Shortly after landing on the beach with Quarrel, Bond encounters alluring shell collector Honey Rider. The 3 uninvited visitors are hunted down by Dr. No's private army, who kill Quarrel and take Bond and Honey to Dr. No's magnificent lair. Their megalomaniac host, Dr. No, tells Bond that by utilizing the nuclear laboratory on site, he plans to destroy the U.S. space program. As his first move toward world domination, Bond outwits Dr. No, who falls victim to his own scheme and dies. Rescuing Honey Rider, Bond commandeers a motorboat, and together they escape from Crab Key, seconds before it explodes, leaving the final devastation of Dr. No's laboratory behind. So that is the story for Dr. No. Here's some interesting insights as it relates to Dr. No. Vodka Martini is Bond's first cinematic drink in Dr. No. We get a rare glimpse of the interior of Bond's London townhouse. The only other films that show Bond's living space are Live and Let Die and Spectre. This is the only Bond film not to have a pre-title sequence. Norman Wanstall created the muffled sound for the silenced gun that Bond uses, which is not like the real sound of a silenced gun. His cinematic sound has been copied so often, many people believe this is what a silenced gun really sounds like. Production designer Ken Adam incorporated many moving parts on his sets in the decontamination scene where Bond and Honey are transported through showers on a moving walkway, now known as travelators. Actually, speaking of that makes me think of Austin Powers. When I grew up, I didn't realize, watching Austin Powers, just how much Austin Powers was a copy, or a tribute, really, to the James Bond films. And they mentioned that scene where Honey Rider and Bond are getting cleaned. And, looking back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is just like the scene from Austin Powers, where he's just getting cleaned and blown dry, and takes that really long piss at the urinal that goes on forever. Evacuation complete. Evacuation, come. Those of you who've seen Austin Powers know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah, really good stuff. But it's just interesting to go back and watch these films now with that in mind. So anyway, what are my thoughts on Dr. No? So Dr. No is a solid film that laid a strong foundation for the James Bond franchise. It's deliberate in its pace and filled with a wealth of memorable scenes that have stayed with me over the years. For example, James Bond patiently waiting for Professor Dent and then promptly disposing of him is masterfully done, right? He's just sitting there. I think he's playing solitaire. Professor Dent shows up. He shoots the pillow in the bed, and then Bond just basically, gets him. And then you're curious because Dent is slowly moving his gun closer to himself on the blanket on the floor, and then, of course, Bond gets him in the end. And they talked about that, actually, in one of the special features, how that was a big deal, having Bond kill someone in cold blood. But I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed it. I thought it made sense for the character and for the moment. Joseph Wiseman as Dr. No provided a restrained and unnerving sense of peril with his captivating performance as James Bond's first cinematic foe. Apparently, according to a documentary about the film, Joseph Wiseman was very nervous about performing that role. I guess he wasn't very confident. But then he went out there and he killed it. He did a great job. He was so... The conversation between him and Bond at the table was just so... You could feel the tension. And Wiseman was just superb as Dr. No. Really, really excellent. And it's hard to be the first villain for James Bond, but he really set the bar high. The music, which includes the James Bond theme, so that was written by Monty Norman and played and arranged by the John Barry Orchestra, which now everyone knows that theme. It's just the definition of magic. Director Terence Young was an inspired choice. He wasn't the first choice to direct the film. Actually, I think he was the fourth or fifth, but he was fantastic and obviously well-suited for the role. Ken Adams' production, which we mentioned earlier, is fantastic. I actually just watched No Time to Die the other night with my wife because I was telling her, you gotta watch it, it's great. And I noticed something from Dr. No, that circle ceiling where we first see Professor Dent with kind of that, when the spider's in the cage. But that circular ceiling with just the chair and the table, that is in No Time to Die. So No Time to Die has a lot of those little callbacks, and that was one of them. So Ken Adams' design, 25 films later, is still being honored, and he really just had a fantastic style. But really, all the people who are involved in this movie should be applauded because Dr. No is not simply great because of Sean Connery or Terence Young or Cubby Broccoli or whoever. It's really because of all of these people giving it their all and creating something special. Dr. No is one of the best James Bond movies ever. From the James Bond introduction, which everybody knows. Sean Connery captured our imagination and brought Ian Fleming's character to life in a way that few could anticipate. The fantastic, and actually Ian Fleming didn't care for Sean Connery's James Bond in the beginning, but eventually he warmed up to him. And the fantastic supporting cast and crew elevated this movie to an even higher level, launching it into the stratosphere in the process. The fact that I'm writing and talking about Dr. No 60 years after its release tells you all you need to know about this movie. It was just an instant classic, and it's still as potent today as it was upon its release on October 6th, 1962. So Dr. No. The special edition DVD includes audio commentary featuring director Terence Young, cast and crew. It also has Inside Dr. No documentary, Terence Young, Bond Vivant documentary, featurette, exciting still gallery, original TV ads, radio spots, original theatrical trailers, and a collectible making-of booklet. Don't you miss that when you had DVDs that would have a making-of booklet? I mean, you could check it out right here. So you can see there's the booklet, right? They've gotten really cheap at these releases now, where it's like, this recycled case. It's not solid anymore. I miss this. And you had a nice quality release. And for a box set, to have individual DVD cases and all that, that's the way they should always be. But whatever. That's why one of the reasons why I wanted to watch these movies this way. And also, this is before Lowry did their remastering of the films. So I'm watching basically the original version of the film before they gave it a facelift, which is actually quite good. I'm watching it on a Fire TV, and it's 4K TV, but it looks great on DVD. I mean, there's really no complaints. So I'm very much enjoying it. What are your thoughts on Dr. No? Feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you think I think it's a great first entry into an iconic franchise, and it still holds up today, 60 years later. So next up, like I said, is Goldfinger. So stay tuned for that, and we're going to go through all of them together. So feel free to join into the conversation. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me, follow me here, but also visit me at michaelcavacini.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.